I've played Polybridge a lot more than is probably reasonable, and in that time, I've launched some cars pretty fast. Today though, for the first time, I wanted to sit down and see just how fast I could make a car travel. Now, the way I see it, there's 4 different ways to make things accelerate in-game, and the first one I wanted to start off with here is using springs. Now, starting out here, you can see I'm building a long chain of springs, and once I put that in place, I'm setting their tension here to be 100% stretched. If I try this out, you can see that the springs are trying to unstretch themselves and throw the car away. But there's a better way to structure these springs that'll give you more pulling power. Now, to do this, we're looking at using spring diamonds here, and you can see me building some of these up now. Now, the basic idea is that by putting 5 springs in this configuration and setting the middle spring to expand, it'll want to pull in that bottom joint really fast, and we can chain a bunch of these segments together and get a lot more power. Now, this already was looking quite a bit better, and I was hoping once we attached the car to it, we could get some more speed. Just to be safe though, I added on a few more sections of these springs, but once I had those in place, you can see me now adding in the carriage. Now, the goal was to keep this pretty light, so you can see me only using a few road pieces, and once I attached up with a few more springs here and gave it a shot, it was definitely looking a little bit better. Now, the only issue here is that the bike wasn't quite able to release, so to fix that, you can see I'm adding in a few cables, and these are going to intentionally hold back the carriage to allow the bike to fly out. And with this in place here, now we were getting some pretty decent speeds, and I was almost getting to the other islands with just this. I was hoping for something quite a bit faster than this though, so to add on some more speed, you can see that the next thing I did was add on a couple more sections of these springs. This did seem to help, but whatever they changed in this game about the springs really is limiting our top speed here, so the next idea I had was jumping straight to using glitches. Before that though, this isn't a sponsor spot, but there is something I want to talk very quickly about. I've been working almost entirely on my own to develop what I'm calling MixiSynth, which is an intuitive portable synthesizer for anyone. I'm planning on launching a Kickstarter very soon, but if you want to learn more about it or get notified right when it opens up, make sure to use the link below to follow the project. Now, specifically what I was going to try to do here was make a couple of custom shapes and try smashing the bike in between them. Now, once I got these hydraulics in place though, you can see the bike did get compressed, but it didn't really go anywhere. Now, I thought maybe the problem was just that I didn't push it far enough, so you can see I moved some stuff around here, but even when I fully compressed it, I didn't really get any movement. I was thinking though, maybe I need to angle the block slightly to allow the bike to want to move in a specific direction. And this actually did seem to get me some results here. You can see I was slightly able to push the bike out, but it wasn't really going that fast. So I also thought about extending out the shape more and giving myself more of an area to accelerate the bike with. Now, I also tried using diamond hydraulics to get more force, but even this didn't seem to accelerate the bike anywhere. So I was a little confused because usually this works pretty well, so I thought maybe I just wanted more hydraulics here, and you can see I really went all out now and just tried to compress this as much as possible. Another change I made as well is instead of compressing the car directly, I wanted to try compressing a custom shape. Now, I wasn't sure of this, but the way that cars accelerate I figured might be pretty well protected, mainly to avoid anyone abusing falling roads or anything like that to beat the real levels. Custom shapes though, no one really cares about, and trying this out now, you can see I was able to accelerate this thing a lot better than the car. Now, this gave me a lot of hope, and you can see next, I tried putting the bike on top of these custom shapes, and was hoping that the little one that got shot out would hit into the bike and send it flying. Now, you can see I'm getting this shape to fly out way faster than anything I've had before, and with just a little bit of moving around here, I was actually able to get the bike to be hit. So I tried improving the way I was holding onto the bike and trying to get a more direct hit to capture more of that energy. This did help, but there was clearly a cap on how fast I could get the bike moving here, and after quite a while, I realized that while the custom shapes aren't working very well for the glitches, they might work really well for this next technique. So I started out here with a couple more custom shapes, but this time you can see that one of them I'm stretching to be really long. Towards the end of it here, I put down a pivot point, and you can see I'm putting a third custom shape really high above that end. Now, if you haven't guessed, this is gonna be the catapult technique, and I wanted to see how far I could get with it. Raising the height of the custom shape more got me pretty similar results, but it did seem like it was performing really well. So of course, extending out the arm of this thing was the next step I wanted to try here, and now we were getting some pretty crazy speeds. Now to get even more force on this though, I was gonna need more weight, and the only way I saw to do that was just to add more custom shapes. So stacking 8 of these on top of each other, now we're really starting to launch the car, and you can see at 0.2 times speed how fast we're getting to the top of the map. I was hoping to hold onto the bike for a little longer though, so I added some extra nodes on the end of the lever here, and trying this out, now I'm able to launch at a 45-degree angle. The only issue I was seeing now though is if you look at where those blocks are falling on the lever, they kind of go through it before they actually drag it along. Now I was thinking that there was just so much force at play here, it was kind of confusing the game, so I wanted to extend out the edge of this lever and give it a little bit more room to kind of bite it and bring it along. And you can see once I finally got that at normal speed, this is way faster than before. So I improved the end of this a little bit better here to hold onto the bike for longer, and you can see now just how fast we're going. This is 0.1 times speed, and it looks like we could clear the map in about 5 seconds. But of course, this isn't even the maximum arm length yet, so I wanted to try making it even longer, and now it's just getting stupid. At 0.2 times speed, you could barely follow this thing, and so I wanted to just try extending this out even more. The issue is though, there is a point where the game really isn't able to register what's going on anymore, and it actually starts losing speed. So I realized right around now, this is pretty much the fastest we're gonna be able to go with this, unless I try something a little different. So the next idea was adding on a sling to this and getting kind of a trebuchet effect. This should let me capture even more energy if I can sling around the bike and launch it out that way. When I tried this out though, you'll notice that the blocks just went straight through the arm. And eventually here, I had realized the problem is that by putting a node at the very end of the arm, for whatever reason, it prevented it from rotating down. This is definitely not supposed to be happening, but I still needed a way to attach that sling, so the easiest solution I could think of was making a little cavity in the end of the arm, putting in another custom shape, and attaching the sling to that instead. This was a bit of an awkward solution for sure, but I figured that as long as it worked, it should be alright. Giving this a shot here, it did sort of seem to move the sling around, but now it's moving nowhere near the same speed. So I tried moving in the sling a little bit further, and this did seem to help a bit, but that extra custom shape seemed to be weighing it down a lot more now, and I was getting nowhere near the speeds I was getting before. So while this catapult technique was far and away the best I've tested so far, there was one more idea I had that I thought might have a little bit more gas in the tank. And this idea was gonna be to use a spin launcher. And you can see to build that up here, I'm using a few steel pieces and I'm attaching some rods to hold onto this car. And once I had that in place here, you can see it spins around pretty well, but to power this, I was gonna wanna use a custom shape. Now you can set these to act like motors, which is gonna be really helpful here, and after absolutely maxing out its stats, it kinda just seemed to break everything. Now I tried reinforcing some stuff to see if it was going to be possible without Unbreakable on, but that definitely was not the case. So Unbreakable it was, and you can see trying this out now, it's able to throw cars reasonably fast. Now it's not that great yet, and I also have no great way to release them. So to do that, you can see I added in a hydraulic stage, and carefully tuning that time delay a little bit, you can see me able to have those roads break apart exactly when I want and launch the car away. Now just this already was getting me some pretty decent speeds, but if I put the car further away from the motor, I should be able to launch it way faster. So that's exactly what I tried doing next here, and you can see I'm building up my carriage once again, and I wanted to attach it up to that motor. For that, I just used a really long chain of steel here, and I was hoping for the best on this, and you can see just how fast I'm able to get this car going. Already, we're not too far away from the catapult, and I thought there was a lot left to do. Now for starters, I thought that I was maxing out the power of that custom shape, and to get even more, before, I wanted to stack more custom shapes to aid that motor. Now this is actually pretty easy here, and you can see just to do that, I have to add more motors and use some 4-bar linkages to link them all together. And trying this out, now we're getting some even crazier speeds. This was definitely a little bit better here, and I thought that I could probably use an even longer arm and get better results. So that's exactly what I tried doing next here, and I wanted to see if I get this thing matching the Catapult speed just with this. Of course though, a little bit more power shouldn't hurt, so I added some more 4-bar linkages on here, and once I was happy, I wanted to give it a shot. Trying it out though, there did seem to be a problem. Even though Unbreakable is on, that doesn't prevent things from bending, and you can see here I ended up coiling up the arm. So to prevent that from happening again, I tried strengthening up the top of the arm a little bit here, and this did seem to work, and you can see I was going even faster than before. Now I felt like I was getting pretty much capped by the length of the arm here, and I wanted this to go faster, but the custom shapes were already going as fast as they possibly could. To get more speed, I was gonna need to switch from using custom shapes as my power source and move into using trucks. So that's exactly what I did next here, and you can see me building up a little hamster wheel to hold this thing in. Now I've used truck power in a lot of my other builds, and it ends up being really nice for a few reasons. Now the first is that since it's a truck, it naturally has this acceleration period, so it doesn't just shock everything it's attached to. Now the other nice thing is I'm able to move it around, which while it isn't going to be important for this build, is a pretty big benefit. Now you can see I attached up an arm here, and already we're getting up to some pretty crazy speeds. So I attached a car to the end of that arm, and I wanted to see what would happen. Trying this out, just this simple setup was already pretty close to what I had before, so I was hoping that if I extended out the arm a bit more, I could get some even crazier speeds. While I was at it though, I also wanted to add on some more wheels here to get even more power. Now this is pretty much as simple as just adding on some more trucks and attaching up the wheels using some 4-bar linkages. But once I got all the wheels I wanted in place, trying this out now, we were doing pretty well. The speed was pretty much the same as before, but there's really no limit to how many wheels I can add on. So I decided to go with 9 here since that completes one ring around the center wheel, and trying this out, it was a nice little bump in speed. To take this to the next level though, I was gonna need even more arm length, and you can see me adding that in now. To also save on a bit of weight, instead of using roads at the bottom of the wheel, I wanted to use a custom shape. Now the custom shape ends up being about half as light as the road, so by replacing 2 of them, I'm saving quite a bit of weight. Now this also gives me the option of using a sling, which I really wanted to see if was possible. But in order to get it to sling around all at once, I was gonna need a few more ropes to hold this back temporarily. Giving this a shot, it did seem to work, and you'll notice we're going a lot faster than before. This was a huge improvement, and I figured as long as I could stack some more improvements on this, we might be getting somewhere. So of course, more wheels seemed like a good way to go here, and I decided to start working on a second ring. I also decided to change up the positioning of the sling a little bit here to get some better action, and trying this out now, we're going so fast, there's a new problem. If you look at the end of the arm here, it's so badly bent back that the sling isn't really gonna work. This is a problem I don't normally have to face, but I figured what I could do here is add on a couple reinforcing pieces on the middle of the arm and see if this would help out. Now, once I built them, I actually decided to extend them out even further because I really was not confident they were gonna be able to hold everything back here. But you can see once I got these built up, the end of the arm at least isn't so badly bent anymore. Trying this out, the sling did release, but it was still a little weird in the way that it worked. With a few improvements here, I was able to get some better launches, and you can see at 0.1 times speed how fast we're moving. The issue is though, I'm again kind of just reaching the theoretical limits of how fast I can launch this without a different approach. Fortunately, I did have another idea, and you can see here I'm actually loading a previous design because I wanted a simpler base to start on. What I'm doing though is adding on a steel diamond, and I'm attaching my sling onto that. This is going to give me sort of a compound sling effect where both of these pieces are going to fold out and hopefully launch the car all at once. You can sort of see this effect in action here. It's launching into the ground, but it did fold out the way that I wanted, and finally I was able to improve it here and get some crazy launches. This was about as fast as it hit with the spin launcher, mainly because the physics engine just wasn't able to keep up anymore. Now the last little twist that I wanted to try here was instead of throwing the car directly from the spinning mechanism, I was wondering if I could simply just hit the car away and get a similar result. So you can see here, I built up a little mechanism to drop down a car at the right time, but no matter what I did, anytime the custom shape was about to hit the car, it would just go straight through it. The physics engine just is not able to keep up with this level of acceleration, so it kind of just does nothing. Now I figured at the end here I could do a nice comparison of all the different techniques I used, and one thing that surprised me is for how simple it was, the Catapult did pretty well. Now again guys, if you're interested in my synthesizer project, make sure to check out the link below. If you have any questions or comments, also make sure to leave those down below, and otherwise, till next time.